I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Astrotheology. This is maybe the 24th or the 25th video. All right. We'll be doing this Astrotheology series until we complete the book. This is the book, The Devil's Pulpit. We're on page 125 out of a total of 345 pages. So this is the book. Download it. It's a free PDF, okay? It's a free PDF. Make sure you download it. Google search The Devil's Pulpit by Reverend Robert Taylor. All right. You'll understand the title, why he chose The Devil's Pulpit when you read it. All right. So I want to say welcome. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. We are on page 125. And for those of you who have not been here, this is your first time. What we do, or what I do, is I read the text, I interpret it because it's a difficult read. It's, let me check the chat while I'm talking. It's a difficult read. It was written from a series of lectures from the early 1800s, okay? Those lectures were compiled, put in book form in 1857. So you see, this is very, very old. So it's a difficult read, but we'll make our way through it. I read it, I interpret it, and then we discuss. That's how it goes. So, all right, I'm gonna turn my camera off. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. Let's make it do what it do. All right, let me pull up the screen. Pull up our book, the PDF. All right, let's pull up the PDF. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so give me 1 second and we'll get started. Give me 1 second and we will get started. All right, so again, I read, I interpret, I discuss. I'll read your comments. If you want to call in, you can call in. Just request the phone number in the chat. And if anybody wants to come in, I will let you come in. All right. If anyone wants to, let me see something, y'all. Yeah, I'll put my phone number in the chat if you want to come in, okay? My phone number will be in the chat if you want to come in. You'll have to put your, well, I can put the link to come in the chat also, okay? So if y'all, I got to find the link, but I will figure it out, okay? One moment, let me just check to make sure the audio is good, all right? Let me check to make sure the audio is working. All right, we got audio good. All right. All right. So anyway, the purpose is not to convince you to change your religion, so to speak. It's not even to convince you that the Gospels or the New Testament is wrong. That's not what this is about. The purpose of the Astrotheology video series is so that you can learn astrotheology, right? This is a really, really important topic for our people. We really need to know this. So in learning astrotheology, not only are you going to learn about the cosmos, astronomy, astrology. At this time, when the lectures were given that are in this book, astrology and astronomy were the same thing. So we're not dealing with horoscope. Okay, this is not horoscope in this lecture. So we're going to go through philology, linguistics, and history. All right, linguistics and history. We're going to go through church fathers' writings, also mythology, as both of those relate to the topic. So the purpose of this is to become educated and to know what we believe, right? And then those issues that are pertinent to what we believe, we understand and we know the issues and we can make an educated decision. Because remember, We have to return to the Most High. Everybody needs to make the decision as to what that means on their own. So, page 25, 125, let's begin. Let me take a look at what the screen looks like and we'll begin reading. So I'm going to, is that banner in the way? Yeah, maybe let me adjust the screen for y'all. All right, try to make it more easy to read. Uh-oh, give me 1 second. And we're on 135. Let me adjust the screen. I'm going to increase the font size. Give me a second, y'all. And we'll be good to go. All right, let's get that. Move this up. So page 135. All right, 135. So I'm going to begin with the reading. Share the video, like and share the video. Let other people know that we are here. All right, let others know that we are here. And am I on the right page? 125. Oh, no, I'm on 135. So we're on 125. Oops, too far. 125. Here we are. All right, here we are. So we'll begin reading on 125. Like the video, please. Like the video. And let's see what we can do. Page view, page display, zoom, tools, show high, display. Let's see what full screen mode looks like. No, I don't like that. Well, no, I don't like that. All right, let's keep it like this. All right. Let's keep it like this, y'all. Wait a minute, let me try it again. Let me try that again. Be patient with me, please, as I learn how to use this software. Yeah, I can't tell what it looks like. Let me see. Hold on. Let me look at my device so I can see what it looks like. Give me 1 second, y'all. I want to make this comfortable for y'all. No, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it back. All right. So I'll put it back. So here we go. Put it back. Let me center the page. All right, so here we go. By the way, y'all, make sure y'all subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath, okay? That's the online streaming course where you're going to learn Ibaryath, which is the original language that our ancestors spoke and wrote. This is the language that what y'all call the Torah was written in. All right, so here we go, page 125. Here we go. I'm not going to do a review. Maybe as I read, I'll do a review. Here we go. And Mark 2, the wicked fraud, the cheat, and the dishonor of the compact between the man of prayer and his familiar spirit, who he calls capital G-O-D. Now, y'all know the etymology of capital G-O-D, right? That is a deity, right? That is a deity. Let's continue. That is the familiar spirit, the deity who is capital G-O-D, right? It is of the same nature as the engagement between a quack doctor and his hireling patients, whom he engages to puff off his nostrils, to swear how bad they were before they took the balm of Gilead, right? He gets someone to testify that they took the snake oil that they're trying to sell you, or they took the herbs that they're trying to sell you, and the person gives a false testimony that the herbs worked. Okay, that's what he's saying. Knowing good and well, they might be telling you, well, I went to the forest and picked these herbs. Knowing good and well, they probably bought them off of Amazon. This is what he's talking about, right? Or off of some industrial farm, which renders the herbs most likely useless, right? An empty package. But you got this person swearing that it helped them. That's what he's talking about. All right, so I'm sure everybody can relate to that. All right. So let me, okay, to swear how bad they were before they took the balm of Gilead, those bad herbs, and what wonderful benefits they experienced from it. Okay, so now, y'all, this is the person who's selling you herbs for $600, $150, $200, $300. You get 2, 3 herbs, and your bill is $500 or $600, right? And they got them from an industrial farm or from a wholesale place or even a retail place, but they told you that they were high quality herbs, or even maybe even they told you they went to the forest, right, and picked them. You got scammed. So he's talking about scammers. All right. It is of the same nature as the secret understanding between the auctioneer and the sweeteners, as they are called, who are the bait set in the fool trap. That's FOOL, fool trap. All right. To make you believe that the goods are worth 10 times their value. All right. Now, I know I tried some herbs before, and I think I paid almost $500 for them. I think it was a 2 or 3 week supply. Got no benefit at all from them, y'all. And then when I tried to get instructions on how to use, prepare, etc., nothing. Not even return phone call, right? But anyway, let's continue. You believe that the goods are worth 10 times their value. And if you don't make haste, you'll lose the best bargain that ever were in the world. All right, that's that pressure selling. There's the jewel of salvation. For next sin to nothing, there's the pearl of great price, going for 6 pence. In other words, you can get this great herb, this great product for pennies. All right, for pennies. Let's continue. And what would it profit a man, say they, should he gain the whole world and lose a bag full of moonshine, as they'll sell him at the gospel shop? So in other words, that bag full of moonshine is what they're teaching you in the churches and the camps and the assemblies, right? Or the synagogue, any religious setting, all right? Specifically here, though, he's talking about the Gospels. All right. Quote, let us, say they, that's the pastors, the preachers, right? The priest. Quote, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that we may grow thereby it. End quote. Though when we've grown a very little, we begin to perceive that the sincere milk of the word has a devilish blue look, and that 'tis not the spiritual babes, but the spiritual nurses that get the cream of it. And here, I cannot but glance at a contrivance of those spiritual nurses who dish up the meat for babes at all our Bible associations and Jew converting and gospel propagating societies. So these are all of the religious societies, y'all. Take note, correlate this with Jeremiah, well, not with Jeremiah, but correlate this with the Bible Hub. All of those versions of the Bible that you see there, these are all written by religious societies, religious corporations, okay? They have their churches. These are the nurses that the author is talking about. So let's continue. And here, I cannot but glance at a contrivance of those spiritual nurses, right? These caretakers of your spiritual health. That's what he's talking about. Who dish up the meat for babes. They write their doctrines, right? They write whatever publications and make videos and all of these things for your spiritual food. And he continues, who dish up the meat for babes at all our Bible association, our Jew converting and gospel propagating societies, right? All right. When the funds of the society run low and the collection is likely to leave a minus, They always come it with a quote, but my brethren, it's your prayers that the society desires. Now, the religious organization I was in, they had the nerve to call themselves the society. Now, if y'all do an etymological search on society, you'll be surprised what it meant. I was shocked when I saw what it meant. All right, but anyway, let's continue. I was really shocked. All right, when the funds of the society run low, they need some money, and the collection is likely to leave them minus. They always come it with a quote, but my brethren, it's your prayers that the society desires. If you have nothing else to give, you can give us your prayers. Sounds sincere enough, right? It isn't your money that we look for, but your prayers. Capital God forbid that we should think his cause depends on an arm of flesh, end quote. And there, say the babes and sucklings of the gospel, there's disinterestedness for you. Where will you find infidels that will act from such disinterested motives? I'd give them a shilling, that's money, right? If 'twas the last I had in the world. So in other words, you believed it. You drank the Kool-Aid. You think they are not after your money because they said, we only want your prayers, right? If you don't have cash, just give us your prayers. You believed it, okay? But that was to hustle you. That was to gain your trust, right? So that even when you have nothing, you give it to them because you trust them. That's what the author's saying. All right. Let's continue. I'd give them a shilling if it was my last I had in the world, because I see that they are not greedy. And then it's this word here is why yea. And they see too, so I got to turn the page, y'all. And they see too that once they can make a man a fool enough to prattle to the skylarks, there's a good chance that he'll be fool enough for anything. In other words, you drank the Kool-Aid and they got your money, right? Because you trusted them. Remember, the author says that the priests are knaves, right? They're knaves. They're tricky and deceitful people. Let's continue to page 26. We're here on the first paragraph. Where the cursor is, the highlight. All right, that's where we are. All right. So let's continue. An honest prayer is all I ask for. Produce me one single instance of an honest prayer, and then I'll say, quote, "'Tis possible that a man who says his prayers may be an honest fool." All right. But when I see contrabands, trick, and management between capital God and man, when I see the man who puts himself under the protection of omnipotence, putting omnipotence under his protection in turn. Okay, y'all, wait a minute. Let me stop for a minute. I think we read this. We read this page. So we're going to skip down. All right, those who guess. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. I don't want to reread everything that we covered. Yeah, I'm in the wrong chapter. We were on page 135. Sorry about that, y'all. I don't want to reread this. These pages are in the last video. My bad. Forgive, please. All right, 135. I was right the first time. My bad. Okay, I think this is 135. Yeah, this is 135. So we'll begin on the first paragraph on page 135. If y'all interested in that, go back to yesterday's video, okay? Yesterday's video. All of the videos are numbered. They're in chronological order, so you can easily find them. Okay, so we are here. That's where we'll read from. On all which nature analogies so clear, so beautiful, so instructive in their physical and physiosophical interpretation. The clergy, whose great aim in all ages, but never so much as at the present day, has been to keep mankind in ignorance, and founded their monstrous mysteries of a conception of the Holy Ghost, a birth by the Virgin Mary, which is a Theotokos, a diapara, a mother of capital God, a wife of her own father, a daughter of her own husband, a sister of her own son, and mother of her brother, and all those other hideous spuricities which serve to show to what a depth of degradation the human intellect may be reduced. They're saying that the clergy reduced its followers' intellect, right, to a very, very low level through its doctrine. Okay? All right. When whence 'tis left to no more learning, then the priest will provide for it. In other words, you allow, not you personally, but you allow the preachers and the pastors to do your thinking for you. You trust them, and they make a fool out of you by teaching you stuff that's harmful. Okay, Seeley 15 says Jordan Maxwell passed away 2 days ago on March 23rd, March 23rd, 2022. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry. He seemed like he was a good guy. I really enjoy his videos, the ones that I saw. All right. Thanks for that info, Seeley 15. All right. So it makes sense to me. And actually, y'all know who talks about the Theotokos? Dr. Walter, I think it's Walter Williams. He wrote a book called The Historical Origins of Christianity, and I think another one called The Historical Origins of Islam. And he makes the point that the Christ figure, this is coming out of Egypt, right? Soter, y'all remember that? The Christ figure needed a mother in order for the Coptic Egyptians to accept it, or something like that, right? Because up until that point, he was said to be a created creature nonetheless, right? Like maybe a perfect creature, but a created creature nonetheless. So they had to give him a mother, this is the Christ figure, so that he could come through a womb, right? And take on the quality of a real man. But anyway, because according to Dr. Walter Williams, the Christ figure is just a made up story. That's Serapis, right? All right. But anyway, that's the story with the Theotokos. And he talked about how difficult it was to be able to find the meaning of the word Theotokos. Well, the word itself and then the meaning. He said it took him a lot of effort to be able to find that. All right. So this Virgin Mary is very critical in this whole gospel story. Okay. And how the Christ figure, how JC actually became JC and the Messiah and the Christ. All right, so that's a side point. He's got videos on YouTube talking about that. But anyway, let's get back to it. All right, so the author is telling us, don't let these religious leaders make a fool out of you by trusting everything that they say and believing their doctrine. There's nothing wrong with critical thinking, right? You deserve to do that for yourself. Next paragraph. All right, so we read this paragraph, all right, about Mary. So we're going to skip that. Let's skip down to, that's also in the last video. Let's skip down to sing ye to the capital Lord, all right? Let's skip down to here. Okay, sing ye to the capital Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea, end quote. At that moment, when the speck of virginess is at the horizon, okay, so he's talking about the star speck of virginess. This is in the last video. The horizon he's talking about is the celestial horizon, not the earth the Earth's horizon. The star Pollux is at the meridian. So this is the celestial meridian. And Sagittarius, the horse and his rider. So Sagittarius is the horse and his rider. That is Pharaoh, okay? Pharaoh of the Old Testament and Saul of the New Testament. So the author is saying that Sagittarius, the horse and his rider, is Pharaoh, I guess when they're riding through the Red Sea, right? And then Saul. All right, and then Saul. Let's continue. And the victory, oops. Okay, so Pharaoh of the Old Testament and Saul of the New, directly pursuing Miriam and her company, is at the bottom of the sea. All right, so again, that's the Red Sea, that's the Exodus story. And this victory of the capital Lord over Pharaoh is expressly declared to have been achieved with a stretched out arm. So now y'all go back and watch the video from yesterday because we read this paragraph yesterday, and you're going to see the stretched out arm is referencing the hand of the woman, right? Of the virgin of Virgo. Is it Virgo? No, I'm sorry, not Virgo, but speck of virginess. Okay, the hand is visible, more visible than the head. So he's talking about a stretched out arm, all right? And look ye, sirs, by heaven, if here is not the stretched out arm. So let me change the page so y'all can see that. All right. So you really have to watch yesterday's video if you weren't here with us to understand what's being talked about here. So here we are, the stretched out arm. The peculiar characteristic of the Virgin of the Zodiac. Y'all see that? All right. Why? Because again, the hand, the stars that make up the hand are more visible than the stars that make up the head. So you know this constellation by the stars that make up the hand. That's the author's point. That's his point, okay? That is why the Virgin of the Zodiac is referred to in gospel, or Mary, the Virgin Mary, the Christ figure's mother, is referred to as a hand maiden because you can identify the constellation by the stars that make up the hand. Hence, she is a hand maiden. All right. Next paragraph. The Venus Anadyomene, or a marine Venus, was the subject of the finest picture of all antiquity. It was painted by Apelles from the person of his favorite mistress, Campespe, who had been given him by Alexander the Great. Okay, so that was a gift from Alexander the Great. It came afterward in the possession of the Roman Emperor Augustus, who had it placed in the temple, which he built to honor of his predecessor Julius. Okay, so now we're talking about the Venus Anadyomene or Mene. From this famous picture, that's the Venus Anadyomene, or from records of it, it is admitted that Raphael, Corriego, and Titian, even down to our own Sir Joshua Reynolds, formed their great works, which have never yet been missing from the altars of our Catholic cathedrals. And thus the face of the harlot Campespe has supplied the features of the Virgin Mary. So that's how they look. That's how they know what the Virgin Mary looks like. Okay, that's what he's saying. The name Mary signifying mistress of the sea, so distinctly characterizing the marine Venus, is further identified by the vulgar versions of it into Polly and Pole. So y'all should remember from a couple videos ago what these two people are referencing to, which are, if you don't, go back and watch those videos, which are common epithets of the sea. The Greek word pollux for many, referring to the many waves of the sea, addressed by our English poet, quote, "Hail thou inexhaustible source of wonder and contemplation." Hail thou multitudinous ocean, end quote. And in the first Iliad of Homer, we have the noble epithet for the sea. I don't read Greek, so I'm going to have to skip that, y'all. All right, let's continue. Next paragraph. That no such a person as the goddess Venus or the goddess Ceres, the goddess of corn and harvest, ever really existed, admitted by everyone, and the pretense of their existence is accounted for in a moment by that natural tendency of the mind to allegorize and personify all its abstract ideas. In other words, the human mind has a tendency, according to the author, the human mind has a tendency to give human characteristics to concepts or things that they see. Okay, for example, this constellation, they give it human characteristics based upon what's happening during the time of the year that they see it. That's what he's talking about. But we also went over this in more detail yesterday. So y'all can watch that video. All right, now let's continue. All right, as to this day, we personify death and speak of the cold hand of death, the jaws of death, the king of terrors, everybody. But a fool or an idiot, knowing that for all such expressions of these, no real substantial person or personages was ever meant by death. So the author's point is that's common sense. So it should also be common sense that the constellation that they're calling the Virgin Mary is not a real person. Okay, but it's a constellation that has been personified. All right, so after the whole world's observance from the days of an infinitely remote antiquity, that means a long time ago, that their corn was ripe for the sickle. Okay, so when this constellation is visible, when you can see it, that means your harvest is ready. You can go get your corn. All right. At the time when the sun was observed to be in that part of the heavens, which is marked by a group of stars that makes something like the shape of a young woman, with the spike of corn in one hand and holding out the other, which has the beautiful star Vendimayatrix in it, over another group of which they call the scales, the Sabiists, as they are called, or worshippers of the host of heaven, as naturally as 'tis to man to possess an imagination, fell into all the imaginations and adopted all the personifications of that group of stars, which, upon the principle of faith, faith that removes mountains, became the basis of an evangelical history. So in other words, faith has had a bad role in duping people into believing that these constellations are real people. That's what he's trying to say, in my opinion. In my opinion, if you think something different, put it in the chat for somebody else, and they may appreciate something completely different by your comments. Okay, so your comments are definitely very helpful. All right. Your comments are definitely very helpful for people who are not familiar with this. All right. So please put your comments in the chat. All right. Let me see. I need to get my breath together, y'all. All right. I need to get my breath together. I'm getting a little bit. All right. So here we go. Oh, man. Okay, all right. So what was only imagined was believed to have happened, and the mistake, however gross, was such a pleasing delusion. In other words, they liked the mistake, right? They liked being misled. Was such a pleasing delusion that the fools didn't wish to be set right. They wanted to continue worshiping or thinking that the constellation was a person. But look on anyone as the devil, or the devil's chaplain, who would have awakened them from their drunken dream of faith and put them to the trouble of being rational. The most extravagant adorations and the most absurd and self-contradictory contradictory fictions were consecrated to the honor of this, quote, wonder in heaven, a woman. Y'all see that? The most extravagant adorations. Now, we looked at those, right? I think there were 8 different feast days to the Virgin Mary. That's on page 132. That's what I believe he's referencing. So y'all can go back and get those feast days and also the dates of those feast days if you're interested in knowing exactly what he's talking about here. So let's continue. And the brute people who never thought of asking their priest what they meant, nor would have endured the true and rational explication of their mysteries, were perfectly satisfied. See, they didn't ask any questions. They turned their mind off. The author is warning us and has been warning us that we need to exercise critical thinking, which means don't believe anything, ask questions about everything. All right, so let's continue. And the brute people who never thought of asking their priests what they meant, nor would have endured the true and rational explication of their mysteries, were perfectly satisfied that what was predicated of the Virgin of the Zodiac had had a real occurrence upon earth, meaning that the Virgin actually lived. And as for its infinite absurdity and utter impossibility to have happened, the convenient adage, quote, nothing is impossible to capital G-O-D, settled the matter at once. Wow. Now, I can say that I've heard Christians always say this when they're confronted with something that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. This is what most of them will say, all right, to make it real in their own minds, instead of dealing with the reality, which is, well, you should ask more questions and find out, because this is kind of absurd or unlikely, improbable, right? It is worth investigating. So I've seen this many, many, many times in my life. Nothing is impossible for the deity. And then that's it, right? Next paragraph. So no part of religion is more rational than that in which this wonderful woman of the Zodiac is to this day worshiped throughout Christendom under the denomination of the Virgin Mary. And that, in words of which the astronomical sense is actually avowed and acknowledged. Okay. The most beautiful hymn of the Roman Catholic service actually bears the title of Ave Maria Stella, Hail Mary, Mary Star, and proceeds. There you go, y'all. There's a reference to the stars, right? There's a reference to astrotheology. Here's the poem that follows. Bright mother of our maker, hail, thou virgin ever best, the ocean's star by which we sail and gain the port of rest, end quote. As we have to the same virgin, those words addressed, which if ever there were a people on earth who worship the stars, are none other than precisely such words as those star worshipers would address to this particular group of stars. Quote, I think he's talking about the Sabian Moors here, okay, because they were star worshipers, but we'll see. I think that's who he's talking about. Quote, Hail, flourishing virgin, chastity's renown, queen of clemency, whom stars do crown. Hail, city of refuge, King David's tower, fenced with bulwarks and armor's power. In thy conception, charity did flame. The fierce dragon's pride was brought to shame. Judith, invincible, woman of arms, fair Abishag, virgin, that true David warms. Okay, well, that was kind of a cute poem. I kind of like that. And I'm not really into poetry at all. Next paragraph. Let me make sure I'm on the right page, y'all. So we're on 138. Let me just check the page so y'all can be with me. Yep. I need to change the page. 138. All right, here we are. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. Who then is that heavenly maid, that handmaid of the capital Lord, that Judith so remarkable for her arms, that warms the true David, but that constellation of Virgo, that city of refuge, as the ultimate end for which the whole year exists, and which the sun, that's the sun, enters into the warm month of August, so expressly and literally defined in the New Testament as, quote, a virgin in the 6th month. Y'all see that? When, quote, he crowneth the year with his goodness. And the valleys also stand so thick with corn that they do laugh and sing. Now, speaking of corn, have y'all ever heard the argument that there was only corn in the Americas? And when you look in scripture, it says that it wasn't corn. I forgot. Maybe it was wheat or something like that. Y'all familiar what I'm talking about? Because the issue was, if it's corn in those scriptures, then the setting that everything took place in would have been in the Americas, because America is a place where corn is indigenous to the Americas. Y'all follow me? Now, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima said that's not true. I don't know. Maybe he's right, maybe he's not. Okay. But the point I'm trying to make is this. The author in the early 1800s, those verses were commonly translated as corn. That's why he's writing corn here in the book. Y'all follow me? In today's time, they're not writing corn. Okay, maybe they're writing wheat. I don't remember because I haven't looked at this in years. But I want y'all to know, and if you want to do further research on that, go ahead and do further research on it. But it's a very, very interesting topic. Okay, very, very interesting topic. So let's continue. All right. So remember, we're talking about the constellation Virgo. All right, handmaid, the constellation Virgo, the Virgin Mary, the city of refuge, okay? As the ultimate end for which the whole year exists. So what the author is saying here is that the entire year exists for the purpose of the harvest time. The harvest time is the climax. That's the whole purpose. That's the purpose of winter, spring, and summer, right? The purpose is the harvest. That's what the author is saying. All right. Okay. Now, when is the harvest? August. August. Okay, now let's continue. Next paragraph. Hence, this version of the zodiac, without any contradiction, without any absurdity, was worshipped by the ancient Sabbaists. So yeah, I was right. By the ancient Sabbaists. These were the star worshipers that he talked about earlier. Under the characteristic epithet of Virgo Paritura, that is, the virgin that shall bring forth, because it is really and physically the month of August, which brings forth the fruit of the earth, and for the fruitfulness of which expectation waits through all the circling year. All right, so there we have it. It's the Sabian Moors, right? And they call the Virgin Mary Virgo Paritura, which is the name of this chapter, right? And what does it mean? What does Virgo Paritura mean? The virgin that shall bring forth what? The harvest in August. The whole year, the purpose of the whole year is the harvest. I know I just said that, but it's worth repeating. All right, everybody waits for the harvest because that's when you can eat, right? That's when you get all your food and you can feel some sense of safety, security, that you got enough to eat. You can party, right? You can party. All right, next page. Hence, though a pure virgin, that is, most literally, a fire virgin, that is, a virgin whose form is made up of those bright fires which stud the starry bosom of the night. That's stars. She is yet the tender mother of all animal life, who provides the food on which we are to be sustained throughout the year. That, quote, openeth her hand and filleth all things living with plentifulness. Now, this might this might be the reason why they focus on the hand, right? When they connected the dots connected the stars to create a woman, and the hand was the most visible part. This is probably why, right? I'm sure this is why, because it makes sense. Okay, openeth her hand and filleth all things living with plenteousness. Y'all see that? Reference to the hand. Okay. Thus, all is beautiful, all is magnificent, grand, harmonious, and intelligible, elegant as art, and convincing as science, when interpreted by the true key of astronomical allegory. So now y'all remember he said the key is science, right? Philology and astrology. You have to know how to connect the dots. When you look up in the sky, if you don't know what you're looking at, it looks like a bunch of stars everywhere. But the author says you have to know which stars to connect to create the constellations. If you have that knowledge, along with philology or linguistics, etymology, right, church father writings, mythology, he says that the heavens are now open for you to read them. Okay, that's the author's point. That's the key. That's the key to understanding astrology or astrotheology. Let's continue. Where stands Virgin Mother in the gospel? But near the cross of Christ. All right. Where stands the Virgin Mother in the Zodiac? But just as near the cross, which the sun makes over the equinoctial line. So that's the celestial equinoctial line, y'all. Okay, so he's drawing a parallel between the Virgin Mother in the Zodiac and the cross, right, which is the sun when it crosses the equinoctial line in September. So the sun crosses that equinoctial line in September. That's the cross. When, after having expanded his last fervors in ripening the corn, okay, so y'all see this? The harvest is peaking, it's starting to peak out in September. He, that's the sun, passes into his church of Laodicea, that is literally the just people, that is the group of stars which from the scales of justice, in which that would be Libra, y'all, right? In which it is near hot, let me repeat that, in which it is neither hot nor cold, but lukewarm. So we see reference to a weather that's neither hot or cold in Jubilees chapter 8, right? It says that Shem's land is neither hot nor cold. And this author says that neither hot nor cold means lukewarm. All right. That just came to my mind. Doesn't mean anything, it's just a thought. But where the solar heat every day diminishing. So in other words, in September, the temperature is starting to get colder, right? It's starting to get colder. He, that's the sun, begins to descend. We're talking about descending in the celestial sky, not our sky, right? So we're referencing here the celestial globe. The sun starts to descend. Okay, so if you're looking at a clock, that might be somewhere around 8 o'clock. Okay, the sun starts to descend. I lost my spot. Hold on, y'all. I lost my spot. Okay. Okay. So, but where the solar heat every day diminishes, he begins to descend with sorrow to the grave. Now, where's the grave? Remember, the grave is going to be at 6 o'clock, right? Pointing the hand pointing at 6. That's the lowest point of the sun. I think if I remember correctly, December 21st and 22nd. All right, that's the bottomless pit, because remember, we're talking about the celestial globe, right? It's an infinitely deep. The sun gets to its lowest point in December 21st, 22nd, all right? That's called the grave, the bottomless pit. Next paragraph. The Virgin Mother is supposed grievously to deplore this event. All right, so the Virgin Mother doesn't like it when the sun starts to go down. In other words, the nighttime hours increase. There's more nighttime hours than daylight hours. So the Virgin Mother doesn't like that. That's what he's saying. Hence, the pictures of the crucifixion of Christ, which represents the Virgin Mary with her face of the Venus of Apollos in deep grief. Oh, that's why the Virgin Mary looks sad. She doesn't like it when the sun goes down, right? All right. Standing near the foot of the cross. All right. That's interesting. Okay. It never being to be forgotten that the New Testament most distinctively speaks of 2 crucifixions of Christ. The New Testament most distinctively speaks of 2 crucifixions of Christ, answering to the 2 crosses which the sun, S-U-N, makes over the equator. All right, so that's another strong parallel. The one in spring, okay, so the sun crosses over the equator in spring, in which he, that is the sun, in which the sun is the crucified lamb, right? We went over that several videos ago. And after which he, that's the son, ascends into heaven. Okay, we went over that. And the other in September. Okay, so there's a crucifixion in September too. After which he descends into hell. So that descension into hell, that's December 21st, 22nd. The sun is at its lowest point. That's hell, the grave, the bottomless pit. As you have respectively 2 distinct pictorial representations of the crucifixion. The vernal crucifixion, that's springtime, right? That's y'all Passover. I believe that's the Passover, right? March. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the vernal crucifixion entirely omitted in the religion I was in. We didn't call it Passover. We called it what did we call it? I can't remember what we called it. It'll come to me though. As you have respectively 2 distinct pictorial representations of the crucifixion. The vernal crucifixion, entirely omitting the figure of the Virgin Mother. Y'all got that? So in the spring crucifixion, the Virgin Mary is not shown. As that of the autumn crucifixion, which takes place in September, with perfect analogy, never omits to represent the Virgin of August. Y'all see that? So the Virgin Mary is not represented, not talked about during the Vernal Crucifixion or the Passover, but the Virgin Mary is talked about and represented during the September or the autumn crucifixion. All right, that's an autumn, which is a perfect analogy, right? Never omits to represent the Virgin of August as standing near the cross of September, right? So y'all see Virgin Mary standing near the cross, okay? That picture where y'all see her standing near the cross, that's representing when the sun crosses the equator in September. All right. Next paragraph. And the plaint of the Blessed Virgin, as read to this day in the Church of Rome. So let me go down. We go to the next page. All right. In grief, the Holy Mother stood, weeping near the holy wood. All right. Is but a version, and a very bad one, of the Greek idol of Muscus, the plant of the Virgin Venus for the death of her Adonis. Quote, alas, alas, Adonis, the beautiful Adonis is dead. Alas, alas, Cytherea, thy beautiful Adonis is dead, end quote. I have no idea what that means, y'all. If you know, put it in the comments. All right, next paragraph. Tammuz and Adonis are one and the self same deity. Adonis being none other than the sun, that's the S-U-N, in Tammuz, whence our common name of Thomas, one of the 12 apostles of Christ, that is, one of the 12 signs of the Zodiac. The Hebrew name for the month of June being Thomas. Y'all got that? The Hebrew name for the month of June being Thomas. Again, another astrotheological parallel. And Thomas, which is also called Didymus, signifying a twin. So that's going to reference back to Gemini. Y'all should remember that we saw the images, right? Where all of these were together. Okay, we saw the images where they were all together. So now let's continue with our reading. Let's continue. All right, the annual wound and being yearly wounded puts the astronomical sense beyond all approach of doubt. In other words, because these wounds or crucifixions are happening every year, it means that it's strong evidence that the story is representing the sun traveling through the sky. In other words, the story is astronomical. That's what he's saying. The annual wound, that's the crucifixion, and being yearly wounded puts the astronomical sense beyond all approach of doubt. The sun, S-U-N, under his name Adonis, literally composed of the three words ad, the lowercase L-O-D. So ad is the lowercase L-O-D, on is the being, and is the fire, is allegorically wounded, killed, or put out by the ascendancy of the great bear, boar, or pig, which is lowercase L-O-R-D, of the ascendant during the winter months. Give me 1 second, y'all. Sorry about that. Let me turn this off. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Okay. Let's see, I lost my place. Okay, so Adonis in the pagan allegory is believed to be killed by the tusks of a wild boar. And JC in the Christian allegory discovers a particular spite against pigs and is represented to have received 5 wounds analogous to 5 winter months, October, November, December, January, and February, during which he is below the line of the equator, and hence the savages, whom we call the peculiar people of capital capital God, who have always been worshippers of Adonis, and who to this day use the word Adonai as synonymous with Yahuwah. All right, so that's going to be Strong's number 113. Okay, and Yahuwah is a contracted form of Strong's number 3068, right? That's the tetragrammaton, YHWH, which we absurdly pronounce Jehovah, have always been distinguished for their aversion to pork. Now, we go through, well, never mind. If y'all want to know the story that I had in mind here, come to class Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, we deal with this topic a lot. And the 80th Psalm to David, that is, to the true David, the sun, S-U-N, beautifully describes the ravages of winter under this very figure, calling on the sun to turn and bring back again the comforts of that better weather, which we all at this time so long to see. All right, so he makes the connection, the statement. Again, I'm going to read it again. He's talking about the worshipers of Adonis, who to this day use the word Adonai. The worshipers of Adonis use the word Adonai as synonymous with the tetragrammaton, or the contracted form of the tetragrammaton, which we absurdly pronounce as, y'all can pronounce the tetragrammaton with the J, have always been distinguished for their aversion to pork. So in other words, these people didn't eat pork. And the 80th Psalm to David, that is, to the true David, the sun, beautifully describes the ravages of winter under this very figure. What figure? Adonis. Calling on the sun, S-U-N, to turn and bring back again the comforts of that better weather, which we all at this time so long to see. We get tired of the winter real fast, don't we? We get tired of the winter real fast. I can relate to this because I don't want to go to any country where it has snow. I don't want anything to do with winter. Quote, the wild boar, that's the pigs, out of the woods do root it up, and the wild beast of the field devour it. Quote, that's end quote. Next quote, let thy hand be upon the man of thy right thigh, and upon the son, S-O-N, of man, whom thou madest so strong for thine own self, end quote. That is to say, quote, turn thee again, O capital L-O-R-D, capital G-O-D of host, show the light of thine countenance, and we shall behold. They're asking for the sun to come back, right? The S-U-N. We shall get the better of these coughs and colds when the fine weather comes, but not till then. When we shall be able to say, now is the winter of our discontent. May glorious summer by this son of York. So think about this, y'all. If Israel is in Africa, where's the snow? Where's the cold winter that everybody dislikes, right? Or is the astrotheology discussion wrong? So the author has presented very powerful evidence, not just one or two pieces of evidence, but a whole slew of evidence. But there is no winter in Israel over there in East Africa. There's no snow, cold weather, right? There's no fall. There's no fall and then everything freezes in the winter. Where do you see these things? Where do you see 4 seasons? In the Americas, right? Snow in the Americas. Spring, winter in the Americas. Now, I'm talking about real winter. So, for example, you go to some countries like the Philippines, they have rainy season and they have sunshine. 2 seasons, rainy season and sunshine. But yet they're being taught that they have 4 seasons. But intelligent people over there say, no, we have 2 seasons, rainy season and sunny season. Okay. In Southeast Asia, the places I've been, they have rainy season and sunny season. Okay. Only in the Americas, where you're going to have, let's say North America, you have winter, right? Certain parts of the country. In California, you don't have snow, right? But in the eastern part of the US, you have winter, spring, summer, fall. So what are we to make out of this, y'all, with this astrotheology? Did they just make this up and place it over the gospel story, right? Or did the people who created this story, I'm talking about the astro, because according to the author, the astrotheology, what's written in the book and the constellations that are written in the sky and all the stories about the characteristics and attributes of the zodiac and even the figures, the constellations themselves, all of that stuff, according to the author, is all made up. It's all imagination. None of it is real, according to the author. Absolutely none of it. So that these priests who made all of this stuff up, did they live in an area where there was a winter, spring, summer, fall? Right? And then they applied it to scripture. There's a lot of things to think about, right? This can be very enjoyable to sit and think and ponder and try to figure these stories out, right? It's a good use of your brain, especially if you're retired, or if you're working a job where you don't have to use your brain a lot, meaning you don't have to read, you don't have to do mathematics, you don't have to do any type of analysis. This type of thinking will rejuvenate your brain, right? It's a good exercise of your brain. Okay, now where are we? Oh, I see. The Virgin Mary, the Grecian Venus, and the Egyptian Isis. Again, the Virgin Mary, the Grecian Venus, and the Egyptian Isis are each of them the same as a version of the zodiac. Y'all got that? The Virgin Mary, okay, Venus, and Isis. This is the same version of the zodiac. It is a truth borne out not by 1 or 2, but by 1,000 analogies. In other words, 1,000 stories that are similar, right? Let's continue. Paris, the capital of France, still retains its Greek name. And here's the Greek word, which I can't read. That is under the protection of Isis. Paris means under the protection of Isis. Maybe the Moors named it that. I don't know. As its great cathedral, bears the name of Notre Dame. That is Our Lady. That is the common name of Isis, Ceres, Venus, and the Virgin. All right, that's new to me. How about y'all? But that by this Notre Dame, Our Lady, was meant none other than the Lady of the Zodiac, is certified by the architecture of the building itself, which represents the 12 signs of the zodiac, 6 and 6, perpendicularly on the sides of the great northern entrance, with the place that should be occupied by the Virgin, supplied instead with the figure of the architect of the edifice and the Virgin, to whose honor it is dedicated, taken out of her place in the succession of the signs, and set over the center of the door as the goddess of the temple, with the child Jesus in her arms, and having under her feet a serpent twisted round a tree, which is the exact relation of the Virgin of the Zodiac. All right, again, so that's more convincing, powerful evidence. Before the invention of letters, the hieroglyphical monogram of the Virgin of the Zodiac was what this day it continues, three straight strokes, with a thin running line from the middle of the one to the top of the other, and the tail or downward stroke passing below the other, which has since become the shape of the letters M and Y. Wow, I had no idea about this, y'all. All right, the natural abbreviations of the name Mary. All right. Okay, so the last paragraph on this page reads, but not alone the character and the symbols of the Virgin of the Zodiac were from remotest ages, the very same as those of the Virgin Mother of Christ. All right, y'all got that? Let me move this so y'all can see. But not alone the character and symbols of the Virgin of the Zodiac were from remotest ages the very same as those of the Virgin Mother of Christ, but the name both of Christ and Jesus was given to the child which the Virgin of the Zodiac was represented as carrying in her arms, and which in the inscription to her honor in the temple of Isis. Y'all see that? Why is she in the temple of Isis? She was represented as herself declaring to be none other than the Sun, S-U-N. I am all that is, that was, and that shall be. And the fruit which I brought forth is the Sun, S-U-N. Okay, that's what's inscribed on the temple of Isis. The Arabian astronomer Al-Bozar or Abu Mazar has a curious passage quoted by Kirker, Selden, and R. Bacon and Dupuis, volume 3, page 46, putting the astronomical and infinitely remote antiquity of the Christian allegory beyond question to every mind capable of perceiving what evidence of antiquity really is. Well, I want to see this. And so here's that evidence. Quote, we have, says Abu Mazar, in the first deacon of the sign of the Virgin, following the most ancient traditions of the Persians, the Chaldeans, the Egyptians, Hermes, and Asclepius, a young woman called in the Persic language Siklenidos de Darzama, in Arabic Adranadefa, that is to say, a chaste, pure, and immaculate virgin, suckling an infant, which some nations call Jesus, but which we in Greek call the Christ. All right, well, that says it straightforward, doesn't it? And why was this virgin mother of JC espoused to a man whose name was Joseph? But as you may see in the visible heavens, and as here delineated on the globe, this virgin in the 6th month, August, is accompanied and always to be seen together, rising or setting with the husbandman, Bootes, that's spelled Bottes, who, with his beautiful star, Arcturus, and his sons mentioned in the book of Job. Oh, y'all got that? Y'all see that? His sons are mentioned in the book of Job, presided over the vintage and was believed to have taught mankind the cultivation of corn, and who is so honored and so worshiped to this day by the Church of Rome in her collect, quote, "We beseech thee, O capital Lord, that we may be assisted by the merits of the spouse of thy most holy mother, that what ourselves we cannot obtain may be given us by his intercession, who liveth and reigneth with capital God the Father, capital God the Son, SON, and capital God the Holy Ghost." The name Bethlehem, in which the virgin resided, literally signifying the house of corn. The house of corn. House of bread, the house of corn. And the name Joseph as literally signifying increase or abundance. And it is the business of the husbandman to store up and take care of this increase and abundance, as it is in the month of August, that the earth brings forth her increase, and capital God, even our capital God, doth give us his blessing. Wow, these are quite some powerful parallels, y'all. All right, so we're going to end the live stream right now. We'll pick up tomorrow on page 143. I want to say thank you for everyone who joined the live stream. I hope that this was worth your time and effort to make it here. Hope you learned something. And Shalawama. And I will see you tomorrow. Let me give you the time, the schedule. I'm going to keep repeating this, y'all, until I memorize it. So here's the Astrotheology schedule. All of this is Eastern Standard Time. Monday, 9 p.m. Tuesday, 10 p.m. Wednesday, 10 p.m. Thursday, 10 p.m. Friday, 9 p.m. Saturday, 8 p.m. Sunday, 2 p.m. So Monday, 9 p.m., Tuesday, 10 p.m., Wednesday, 10 p.m., Thursday, 10 p.m., Friday, 9 p.m., Saturday, 8 p.m., and Sunday, 2 p.m., all Eastern Standard Time, okay? So, as a matter of fact, if y'all want me to change it to, let's say, West Coast time, let me know. Put it in the chat, all right? And we can add one or two of these days to West Coast time. All right, or we can at least try it, see how it works out. So thanks again. I'm Dr. Yasafa. You are invited to attend 2 free classes of 506 The Curses course. That's where we do a word-for-word breakdown or word-for-word examination and evaluation of every word in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 29. It's powerful, it's fun. The fellowshipping is amazing. You'll love it. The link is in the description area of this video. Also, go and subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. This is going to help you return to your heritage. It is a streaming course. We're giving it away for almost for free, $1 for 24-hour test drive, and then $10 to subscribe. Shalom, I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. See you tomorrow.